Hello everyone. So we've been kind of digging into some very interesting topics lately, some very interesting subjects that not a lot of people, specifically health and fitness professionals, talk about. This one by far is going to be the most controversial, but also the most interesting. In fact, I've tried to simplify this subject down as much as I could without missing key details, but also not overwhelming you with too many details. Obviously, this is a personal choice type of situation. Anytime we talk about things like this, it's going to end up being a personal choice. So, as much as I'm going to discuss the contraindications as well as, the things that can happen down the road, because it's personal choice, if it's a procedure that you need to go through for whatever reason, that is ultimately going to be what's going to drive the decision. Personally, I don't believe that removing an organ from the body is in any way necessary or called for unless in extreme acute situations, which do happen. I mean, we get appendicitis and there are certain times where it will need removed. And then that goes for any other organ in the body. So this is where I go back to, it really does depend on any underlying reasons as to why you are choosing this. And this is our last ditch effort, is when we go through surgeries to remove something. It's our last ditch effort to fix whatever problem's happening in our bodies. So again, acute situations. So throughout this video, I'm going to be presenting you with my personal view as well as scientifically based fact regarding these particular topics, and that's hysterectomies and mastectomies. So feel free to do your own research. I am in no means going into deep detail because there's so much information that I could share with you guys, but it would just take so long to share it all. So please do your own research. If it's something that you would like to know more about, or if it's something that you are possibly thinking about doing for yourself, this is something that you might want to look into. So any type of organ removal, gallbladder, liver, uterus, anything that you can think of that we go through removals for in any condition, any circumstance, there are quite a few adverse effects, especially ones that happen down the road. They may not happen immediately. It might be years down the road that you start to feel adverse effects. The medical field has pushed removals and medications for many, many years, not only because it makes a heck of a lot of money for them, and we've talked about the pharmaceutical industry many times, it's all about money for them, but also because they don't know how to proceed. They don't know how to proceed naturally or to reverse the condition in order to prevent an organ removal. So this is a really huge deal. There are ways to restore organ balance, but most MDs either completely ignore how to restore it or they just simply don't know. So we can give them the benefit of the doubt in that they don't know. So I choose to give them the benefit of the doubt. There are certain things that they learn in medical school that will allow them to learn how to reverse these things, but because of the bureaucracy and everything, we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. But honestly, there are certain MDs who just don't know anything regarding this. And it doesn't even extend just to MDs. It can be NDs as well, any kind of medical professional, even functional doctors. So the body will unfortunately never be the same again. I feel like that goes without saying. You're removing an organ that is meant to be there and has a particular function in the body. And so of course you're going to have just a completely different function of your body in general. I'm sorry about the focus on this video. For some reason it's going in and out of focus and I'm not entirely sure why, so we'll just ignore that. So to begin with, we're going to start with hysterectomies, which is the removal of the uterus. Now it can be complete removal or it can be partial removal. It depends on what's going on. But this can seriously affect hormone levels, especially if the uterus is removed during the menstrual years. It's less destructive if it's removed during menopausal years, but it still has problems. I mean, you still have problems. So doctors don't tell patients that women who have hysterectomies have a greater risk for blood clots and iron overload, which then leads to cirrhosis, but also heart problems and disease and diabetes. These are really serious problems, and doctors don't tell women this. So if you look into hysterectomies, if you see women who have gone through hysterectomies for whatever reason, most of them, if not all, were not told that iron overload is a complete and just disastrous problem that can happen because of this. There is also possible damage that can happen to the urinary tract, because whenever you're doing an invasive type of surgery, there is always the risk that you're going to damage other surrounding areas. So the urinary tract is one of those areas that can be damaged, as well as other pelvic structures during the surgery, which can lead to serious problems in the pelvic floor, but also pain management and chronic pain throughout the rest of their lives, and how the urinary system works in the future. So these are really serious problems that the doctors just don't tell their patients, and women don't even consider when they're thinking about hysterectomies. So let's switch gears. One of the major reasons for mastectomies, which is the removal of breast tissue. Again, this can be one or the other or both. It can be complete or partial. It just depends on the situation. But this is usually because of the presence of breast cancer or the prevention of it. Unfortunately, this also means that lymph nodes are removed, as well as other tissues, and damage to the muscles can occur because of this complete removal. But this decreases immunity. When you remove lymph nodes, it decreases immunity, and it also, the surgery, because it's very invasive, it damages the pectoral muscles, which is why there's a lot of tightening and spasms. They do tell you this is a risk. So doctors will mention this. Lymph nodes, seriously, that's the biggest hang up for me. But there's also increased risk of infection, scar tissue formation, hematoma, and lymphedema, which are all very serious conditions. Cancer is a very complicated subject. It's something that I don't necessarily talk about on social media because it's such a serious thing. It's something that is very, very unique to each individual who is experiencing it. So this is something that would be better discussed during a consultation. It's not something that I'm ever going to go into detail with you guys here on YouTube or even on the podcast, because it's just so tricky. It's a complicated subject. But I will tell you that breast cancer is preventable and reversible. Doctors don't want you to hear this. Who knows, I might get blocked on YouTube for saying this, but it is preventable, it is curable, it is reversible without having your breasts removed completely. Removing breast tissue just because you have a history of breast cancer should not be your first choice over more effective and less damaging preventative care. And there are some really effective preventative care solutions, including spiritual coaching, because there are spiritual issues to breast cancer in particular. And I've talked about this before, that women are more prone to serious spiritual upheaval over men, just because of the way that we are. And so it typically does show up as autoimmune issues and cancers. But again, we're not going to get into detail with this because it's just too in-depth of a subject. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out. So as much as these are person-to-person decisions, hysterectomies and mastectomies, every person going through an organ removal is at risk for scar tissue buildup, which can cause adhesions. Now, adhesions can disrupt the natural movement of organs as well as muscular movement, which can lead to not only digestive complications, because it can actually attach to your digestive organs, but also poor absorption, chronic pain, and more. There are a lot of issues associated with adhesions, which is why there are a lot of practitioners now who are working with removal of adhesions with people through massage or, tensum. What is it called? It's anyway, again, I always forget one word while I'm doing these. but it's a special type of massage where you work out the scar tissue. It's kind of like what you would do with an injured tendon. It's like cross-grain massage, except it's a little bit different. So you're welcome to look into that if you want to. But so adhesions can be worked with manually to break down the scar tissue, but it is much more difficult when an organ has been removed because there's so much scar tissue that it takes a long, long time to break that down, and there's no guarantee that that scar tissue will ever go away. So I wanted to make this video not to scare anyone. Obviously, that is never, ever, ever my goal. But I want to share what doctors are not sharing with you, because it is so important to know exactly what you're getting into when you get into these particular things. And surgery is one of those things that is very serious. The iron overload issue is such a crucial topic that women should be told. They should be. In fact, there are many women who have gone through hysterectomies that their doctor never told them about this, that are really, really struggling right now and going through liver problems because they were not told. So they should be told this in order to maybe come up with a different solution, or at least build in and provide themselves with preventative care after they've had a hysterectomy. Iron overload is a very serious issue. It can lead to serious degradation of the health of a person, and because there is no natural way to remove iron through menstruation, it becomes more crucial that that iron be removed somehow else, which it's kind of funny because the only way to remove that iron is through bleeding, like they did in the medieval times, Middle Ages. That's pretty much the only thing that works. So if you don't want to go through that, I would say definitely look into other solutions other than a hysterectomy. There really is no other natural way to prevent this iron overload. So it's just, not to scare you or anything, just to give you information. You deserve better. If you are interested in some alternatives, you are welcome to contact me and we can discuss. Free consultation. Your first consultation is completely free. Or you can do your own research into studies that have been done in these areas, because there are many and oftentimes they are hidden. So you got to do really deep searches. Your health matters. I hope that this information is helpful or at least interesting to you. And if it rubbed you the wrong way, maybe it's something that you need to look into a little bit more, or if you need help in any way going through one of these things, and if you're struggling, maybe there's a way that I could help you in any way. But always do your own research, because it's really important. Doctors will not tell you the whole thing. They won't tell you the whole story. So you need to research for yourself. It's just the way life works now, and unfortunately, it's sad but true that they will hide a lot of information from you. So don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, subscribe for more updates. New videos are up every Saturday. Until the next time, also don't forget to check out the podcast episodes. Those are also here on YouTube as well as on Spotify. But until next Saturday, I will see you next week. Have a wonderful rest of your day.